Maybe I'll start with this, but this is probably too broad. Just why did you move to Vermont?
I don't know.
Well, I've lived in Vermont since 2003, but we bought the house the year before.
We were thinking about the fact that we were going to be parents and how we wanted to raise our children. So, I mean, it was like sort of beginning a new chapter in our lives. We had never been to Vermont before at all. So we went on a vacation to Vermont. We actually started our vacation with the idea that we wanted to move maybe somewhere towards the East Coast, because we were looking for somewhere that might be more liberal, more accepting.
I was getting a little tired of the city. I also realized that unless you were in the exact particular school district, that mostly gay and lesbian family members at the time didn't appear to participate like as coaches or teachers or helpers at school, because people thought less of them, that they weren't allowed, and they didn't want them to be a part of any activities with children. And I just couldn't imagine raising children without being a part of all the activities that I would love to coach or to be a part of. And then your dad, he, I think both of us are a little bit on the either non-binary side. He's of course transgender, but he was thinking about transitioning. Vermont seemed like if he could work from home, we were like, this would be our place, because at the time they had civil unions. They were on the forefront of doing stuff like that. And we thought it might be the safest place to raise a family. So we came up, looked at houses. I got inseminated with you just before I left on vacation. We had found this house, but once we stayed up here for a month and we went back, I said, I don't want to be in Houston. I just wanted to be here. We had worked really hard to get our careers going, both of us. It was scary if Chris transitioned, because he already had to endure some comments, and it was more like we were tolerated. And that definitely, even with the gay community, sometimes they have trouble with transgender people as well. And then people have a lot of questions of like, are you straight now? If you're a lesbian, why do you want to stay with a guy? And it complicates things. I was very respectful of his transition. I wanted him to be the man he was meant to be. So I would do anything to help support that. And I thought the safest place that we could do that was here. People were pretty accepting, and they worked really hard at doing that for us. I mean, we still have people who don't like us, but what we learn is when you get a good friend and a good community member that loves you and cares about you, you value them and you take care of them like they take care of you.
You shouldn't ask me how we got involved with the community, because I'm not the one who did it.
When we first moved here, one of our neighbors, who was an orthopedic surgeon, and his wife came and brought us brownies. And it was so fun, because they didn't even live here full time, but they knew we moved in. Nobody did that in Houston when we moved into a house. No one came, no one even said hi to you. Your neighbors never said hi to you. Now, what's odd about these situations, we're not talking liberal people here. We're talking fairly conservative people who just liked us. And we used to have people who were pretty conservative say, I really like you guys. Like, it was a shock.
At what point did you know you were transgender or that you were a boy?
I knew on some level when I was very young. When I was 5, we moved to a new house, and I started walking down the street, and I met a little boy who lived a couple of houses down. The first thing he asked me was, are you a boy or a girl? And without really thinking about it, I just said, I'm a boy. And he asked me what my name was, and I said Chris. And he became my best friend for several years. And as soon as he came to my house, he figured out and heard my mother calling me by my full name. He figured out that I was a girl. But I think his mother thought I was a boy for a long time. I mean, I didn't think of myself really as transsexual, or I never thought that I would transition, because I thought that to do that you had to give up your life and your friendships and just move somewhere new and start over and not let anybody know, because I thought that people would hate you if they knew. When there were transsexual or maybe even just gender non-conforming people, that I encountered in real life. What I saw was people around me just referring to that person as it and treating them sort of like a circus curiosity.
When you were growing up, like, did you have an understanding of, like, when it meant to be gay or when it meant to be transgender?
Oh, no, I saw it on Oprah.
I saw an episode of the Oprah show where she had a transgender man, and I was completely shocked that, as she was interviewing and, telling the story, that he wore men's clothes and, he went to college, he had friends, he had a girlfriend, everybody referred to him with male pronouns. And I thought, I didn't know you could do that.
What question are you answering?
Try to be quiet when you go upstairs.
Talking about how Oprah changed his life.
Yeah.
Oprah, I got more education watching Oprah as a kid. It was the only time that I felt like validated.
When I saw that, I was really just shocked because it had never occurred to me that I could just say, I'm really a man, and people would accept that and treat me as a man. I think when I was young, I tried to tell my parents that I wanted to be a boy, that I was a boy. They would just tell me that I was wrong, and they would just say, no. No, you're not. You're a girl. You're always going to be a girl. There's nothing you can ever do to change that. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe my relationship with my parents. They loved me, but they didn't approve of my lifestyle choices, as they might put it. I think that the thing that was weird for me is going back there and having people misgender me. And my parents did start to get a little bit better at it in public, because I think they started to be embarrassed because, we would go to the store or the bank or whatever, and I'm standing there with my beard, and they're saying, my daughter has, she wants whatever, and they're confusing people. And everybody's just looking at them all confused, and so I think they started to get a little embarrassed by that, and that helped them sort of change a little bit.
What was your, family's first reaction, when you first told them?
They told me that they thought I was making a big mistake and that I was blind, and I told them after we had gone down there for their 50th wedding anniversary. I waited until a little while, a few days after the party was over, but before we went home, to tell them. And one of the things that they said was that they were talking about their anniversary and seeing all their friends and all these people from all of their life, and they thought that I wouldn't be able to have that if I transitioned.
We know it takes a lot of time to adjust to being gay, transgender, and that goes for us. Even as gay people ourselves, you live in denial. We meet people all the time who are in denial. And when you're in denial, how do you even go forward? You have to figure it out yourself because you're so homophobic yourself and transgender phobic when you're raised a certain way, or you don't know anybody who is like that, so you don't have any example that you could be different. So if we've had that problem, what do we expect from our parents? Our parents have those issues too, but they haven't thought about it the whole time. Now, my father said to me once, I knew when you were a teenager that you were probably gay. And I said, I'm in my 20s. I said, well, it would have been nice had you told me. I believe that Chris and I took the right approach with our families. So I have known people who reject. They're so angry because their family rejects them. As they tolerated us, we tolerated them. We continued to do everything like we would if there wasn't a problem. No one ever said, don't come to Christmas. No one ever said, don't come visit. But some people would say, well, if they have a problem with me, I'm not going to deal with them, right? I know that's how some reactions may. But the way your dad and I work with everybody in our community and with our family, we are extremely forgiving. And our goal to changing hearts and changing minds is by being the people that we were raised to be but also being the people that we were born to be. And what I found is that over time, people changed for the better. I would tell you in anything, if you believe in yourself enough, if you believe in who you are, and your parents don't quite accept it, I always have good values, always be a good person. And things are going to work out. People can't hate good people. They just won't. How long can you hate somebody who's good to you? That's what I would say.